Toledo. I'm Fayth Atkins, and thanks for joining me on the show that brings you the good news and lets you know what's happening in the 419. For today's episode, we are in downtown Toledo on South Erie Street in the Creative Art Studio / Art Gallery, Art on Market Shops, and with me is the co-general manager and co-owner of Toledo Lamp Company, as well as the Art on Market Shops, Mitch Anteski. Mitch, how you doing today?
Pretty good. It's a little warm, but we're going to stay cool today.
Yeah, we are. And, let's just get straight into it. For the folks at home who don't know, what is the Art on Market Shops?
Art on Market Shops opened in May of 2023. No, 2022. Yes. And it's a cluster of 6 different individual artist studio shops, and we also have a gallery of local artists, all art for sale by them.
Awesome. And you guys the idea of it came through the pandemic, right? Talk to me about the role the Art on Market Shops played for artists, especially during such a hard time.
Well, during the pandemic, of course, there were no art shows or fairs, and nobody was able to show or sell anything. And so when we came in here, when we opened the lamps store, we had all the rest of the space, and let's give these artists an opportunity to get out of the basement and their paintings that are stacked up in the corner of the living room and show them and sell them.
And since then, how has the reaction been for the art community and the Toledo community in general?
Well, I'd like to think that's been very well received. We've had over a dozen different resident artists with jewelry, photographers, painters, sculptors, and then in the gallery, over 50 different artists have shown and sold works, ranging from 17 to 70 plus, some professionals, some amateurs who had never even shown anything, let alone sold anything before.
That is so awesome. And then included in these studios is your own company. It's pretty artsy. We got look at these unique lamps here. Talk to me about the Toledo Lamp Company.
We bought the business in December of 2020, now that I got my date straight on all that. And kind of ran with the theory that they'd had before where they were doing industrial style pipe lamps, and we brought it to another level when we started salvaging landfill finds and upcycling into some of the quirky lamps that we have, and now we make lamps out of just about anything and everything that either we find or people sometimes bring to us.
I know. I think one of my favorite pieces here was the traffic light. That was pretty cool. But with you guys expanding and growing, that comes with some news about the Art on Market Shops, right? Yes,
the plan was always that in the store here, everything was always changing. There was always something new, and that was also the case with all of the Art on Market Shops in general, that a visitor could come back and always find something new. So yes, there is a change happening for the Art on Market Shops and Toledo Lamp. The Toledo Lamp Company will be here through the end of August, and then we're going to relocate to Sylvania. And because of the overwhelming response of Toledo, the 419, and all over, we have lamps from New York City to Maui right now. And so we're expanding into a place. It's going to be 3 times bigger, and we can just make more lamps, bigger lamps, more outrageous lamps, and expand into a whole home and gift line, and it's going to be great.
So now that kind of leaves the future of the Art on Market Shops a little uncertain, right? But before we get into that, first, we're heading over to the Toledo Museum of Art, where the group Salute presented Storytellers with Disabilities for Disability Pride Month and how you can help children with the Lucas County Children's Services be prepared for the school year.
Hi, I'm Dr. Becca Monteleone. I'm Assistant Professor of Disability Studies at the University of Toledo, and we are here for the Salute Storytellers Present Stories of Disability Pride. So Salute is the self-advocates of Lucas Toledo. So these are people with intellectual and developmental disabilities who are currently served by the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And then the Salute Storytellers are a group of people who are, part of Salute, who write and perform stories about their lives.
So this brought me to what for me was my proudest moment. Despite my disability, despite losing everything I had, I decided to stay up here and face the fire.
like explaining how people get joy and pride from their job, to experiences of bullying and how people have moved past those. About, there's a story about someone who her kind of proudest moment was when she decided to not move back in with her parents after losing her job. And then in addition to that, we also had some performances from iDance, who you might be able to hear behind me, the Adaptive Performance Arts Center. And then we have artwork that is visual artwork created by people with developmental disabilities in Lucas County.
Well, like I said, I've been through enough bullying in my time. They've been ridiculed me, just misunderstood me, because deep down I'm a really nice guy. But once I heard that many other kids, such as myself, who are different or not different, they just have a hard time because kids don't have any role models. So I want to make sure, I want to be a role model to these kids who had a tough time at school. I would just want to tell my story like in an autobiography. This is the best way to start to telling my side of the story through my eyes.
I think there are a lot of misconceptions about what it means to have a developmental disability or to live with a disability. And so having people tell stories from their own perspectives about their lives is a way to counteract a lot of those stereotypes and myths and misconceptions. And it's also a way to say, people with developmental disabilities are part of our community who deserve to take up space. And so when we're in a venue like the Museum of Art that is such a community gathering place, I think it's a real statement that, people with developmental disabilities are an important part of our community. We just hope to grow and continue to take up space in the Toledo community.
So we are here at the Appliance Center doing our annual Ready Set School Backpack Drive, where we're collecting school supplies for children being serviced by LCCS. We are getting anything from pens to markers to book bags, anything that a kid would need for the first day of school. It's really important for Buckeye to be a part of this because we are obviously a very super local company. We like to give back to the community in a very local way, and this is our biggest impact that we can do right now, getting school supplies for kids being served by LCCS.
Many of the children that we serve live with family or foster families who lack the resources to purchase all the school supplies they need to start the school year on the right foot. And these are kids who are going through hard times with their families and their lives. They might be living in a different location, or they might have been a victim of abuse or neglect. So we want to make sure that school is a good place and that the start of school is a good time. So we make sure that they have all the great looking supplies that they need, just like everybody else in their class, so that they can start the school off the right way.
This is Teamsters Local 20's second year being sponsored for the Pack the Backpack promotion. We're proud to do that. We're proud to give back to the community. Local 20 has contributed school supplies in addition to monetary donations that were put together by a local 20 retiree, Mike Wenzel, and he's also a member of the local motorcycle club, Avengers. So he reached out to those folks. They wanted to make a contribution. They did so today as well.
The goal is to get over 800 backpacks filled with school supplies for students this year. I think we're about 3/4 of the way there. We are doing a push obviously today, but we can get monetary donations up until I believe August 4th. So if you go to buckeyebroadband.com/school, you can make your donation there. We've had tons of people who have just rolling off the streets, open their trunks, and there is a bunch of school supplies just for us for this event. So it means a lot for the community, for us to be able to touch the community in that way, for them to be receptive and give back to us.
We have an incredibly generous community, and they come through for us every time. We really appreciate all that they give because we know that they give from their hearts, and we can only succeed with their support.
We're about to take our first break, but when we get back, we're learning about the possible future of the art on market shops from one of its featured artists. back to What's Happening Toledo. I'm Fayth Atkins, and we are here at the Art on Market Shops. And with me right now, I'm in the studio of one of the most talented painters in the 419, Jim Zaleski. Jim, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you, Fayth?
I'm doing pretty well. And so, Jim, let's just get straight into it. How long have you been with the Art on Market Shops? And talk to me about your journey here in this art studio.
It is about 2.5 years. I first came in contact with them when they were following me on Instagram, and they posted that they had art space / retail available. I came in and met with them and got the space before they were all gone.
Awesome. And
Timing.
yeah, and in here is a room full of all your pieces. Talk to me about them, and how many do you have?
Oh, I think I have probably 300 or 400 of them that I did within the last 3 or 4 years. I tend to go back and forth between a lot of the paintings. Most of them happen in about 40 minutes, something like that. But I'll go and touch them up if I have a certain color on my palette.
What type of medium do you use? What type of painter, artist are you?
It is acrylic paint on canvas primarily.
And it's awesome that, you know, the Art on Market Shops has provided this space for you to do such a thing. So talk to me about the role of Art on Market Shops for artists.
Well, I think that it was a great thing to allow artists, you know, no matter where they're at in their artistic journey, they were able to put work up here and make it sellable to the public, which not a lot of places offer that. There are a few around that do. But I think it was a good thing for artists just to have a space to sell in a retail environment.
Especially during, I know the Art on Market Shops opened during the pandemic, and this was a place for you guys to be creative. You've been doing art since the beginning of time, right, of your life?
Yeah, since I was 2, basically, but really concentrating on it for the last 11 or 12 years.
Talk to me, why is art important? And talk to me about just arts in general, the role it has in the Glass City.
Well, for me, the importance of art is that it allows you to tap into your soul. You become a better person by concentrating. It slows you down. It's therapeutic. It allows you to concentrate on where you're at so that you're better presentable to other people. It brings joy to people. People are happy when they paint. The role, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, the role of art in the Glass City, we're known as an artistic city, so talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think there's an abundance of art that may be part of the reason why many artists struggle, is that there is not enough local support, I mean, from the general public for the amount of artists that we're very blessed to have, the amount of talent that we have in Toledo.
And the Art on Market Shops is one of those places that supported local artists, and to see it, the future uncertain, it's kind of not what we want to see happening. So you kind of have a future plan about that and opening it up to more than just artists who paint, right? Talk to me about your plan and what you have in mind.
Yeah, basically sometimes when art places are started, unfortunately, for one reason or another, they fall to the wayside and people don't know what happened and why it isn't there anymore. But for me, that's why I wanted to rescue it, because I think that it's important not only for my own studio, but to have the ability to keep artists in the forefront, keep them in the limelight, and let the public know that artists are in this space and they want to remain in that space. And it's a hard thing to keep going. What I plan on doing with it, besides the visual arts side of it, is to bring in performance components into it. I know a couple people that have attempted to do that in the past with a great deal of success, actually, and many of them got shut down by COVID. So we had opened up during COVID, and I think that providing a space where there's a mix of art forms is better overall for the community to see that happen.
And that's why with us also is poet Gary Bonds, and you guys are about to do something that you plan on bringing to the Art on Market Shops to save it, right?
Yes. I've worked with many communities in the arts, and the poets are really one of my favorites circles to operate in. I do a lot of live painting at events and such, and I really enjoy painting as a performance to another performance. So poetry and music are things that I paint along to because of the style that I work in is intuitive, and it's really playing along to the rhythm of how the poet, their cadence, the musician, and the way that they're phrasing in their music all comes into play as I'm doing stuff. So if, for instance, there's a staccato movement in the music, I'm doing that with my brush as I go. I'm not painting things in particular, I'm painting to a feeling and emotion of what is going on at the time.
All right, well, we're about to see you two put your art into action right now, so have at it.
My view of the bridge. From where I'm standing, the bridge is the only thing that really looks like something. The surrounding buildings and warehouses are mostly run down and empty, and from down here, my skyline consists of some large pieces of cut concrete, big boulders, huge rocks ripped from something else, somewhere else, and a pile of pebbles, perhaps a story and a half high, being moved about all the time. The space between the bridge and me is mostly river, and like everything else, it has seen better times. Still, it remains a valuable source for food, and more importantly, it makes the landscape tolerable. I want to tell you what it's like being homeless, but it's such a radical departure from anything you've known that I don't know if it's possible to make you know it, make your senses accept it. Still, I am not sure that even the missionaries know what it's like. Oh, they know that it's awful, but what could they know beyond that? So I will be your guide. I am the pulse of the people, am at home in the jungle and the city. I am king of my corner of the cage. I am the heartbeat of the street. I have fixed time for our journey. Otherwise, I'd be busying myself with preparations for the winter and have not time for you. Winter robs me of my self-sufficiency and independence, and always must I impose on others. All the while you're running around readying yourselves for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I am in a life and death struggle for what's left of my humanity, what's left of myself. That, coupled with the ever-present fear of exposure to the elements, limits my living. And I am double business bound, but stand and pause. You know, swiftly standing still, that's the end. Homelessness is equal parts fear and uncertainty, and each of them is potentially paralyzing. The nearest convenience store is a block and a half away, but there isn't a decent facility near enough or a good meal close enough for my liking. So I fear not being able to take a decent crap every day. Of course, I fear hunger and the uncertainty of where I will lay my head. I fear being alone, of being with the wrong person, of having no money, no place to store my gear, of being safe, bathing and bathroom. Most of us take all these things for granted. I fear failure and of disappointing those that I love. Pain. What? Have you none of it? I am always looking for an opportunity to advance my agenda. I want to live. And I want to know the way out, now while it's trendy to identify with the homeless, helping, helpless, homeless. Homelessness is fear and uncertainty in equal parts. That is how I see it. This is my point of view.
Wow, can we do a snap, snap, snap? That was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, Gary, come on and join me right here real quick. First of all, what was the title of that poem?
My view of the bridge.
And talk to me, I mean, just dissect it. I mean, it's pretty clear, but for those who might need some help, dissect that poem for us.
Well, it's interesting. While we were connecting east and west, there were large communities underneath the bridge that were dying. And there were a lot of people who lived along the river, and their living environments were disturbed as well. And progress, the future.
And we're talking about art on market shops. We are talking about, the physical art, but poetry is an art form as well. Talk for people who might not understand that. Explain how poetry is art and how there's a lot of things are considered art.
Well, poetry is action. It's words and action. And what interests me about working with the art on the shops here and other artists is that we can make action art that moves people emotionally and mentally, but also moves them physically. Action art. We want our art to live within the people who come here and to spread out into our community and bring us into the future.
And that's exactly what you guys are working to do here at Art on Market Shops. Plus, you have a poem, a 30-second poem that describes that. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Certainly will.
All right.
A word poem, perhaps worth considering. As things become, let's destroy. Then we can destroy what we become. Let's build what we become when we dream.
Again, with the snaps. Awesome. All right, we're about to go into our final break, but when we get back, we're learning more about the Art on Market Shops.
Met you at a backyard birthday party. Our eyes met the moment you came into view. The drinks and the conversation started. And the next thing I knew, I was with you. The plans we had made were always for two. Ever since the day we both said I do. But looks could stop the devil in his tracks. She's got a rambling heart, a crazy mind. She ain't coming back.
Welcome back to What's Happening in Toledo. I'm Fayth Atkins, and before we went to our last break, you were listening to the sounds of a local songwriter and musician, Lucian Towns. But so before we say goodbye, Mitch, talk to me. What's going on with Toledo Lamp Company?
Well, the Toledo Lamp Company definitely is going to be here through August 26th. And then we'll be relocating to Sylvania, 5151 South Main Street, with a grand reopening scheduled for about September 16th. This is a great weekend to come on down to the Art of Market shops. After this weekend, some of the shops will be closing, so tonight, or this weekend's farmers market and night market is a great opportunity to get something you may have had your eye on, because when it's gone, it's gone.
So, all right, thanks for letting us know. And then, but we don't want to lose the Art on Market shops. So, Gary, Jim, what can the community do to support your guys' mission?
Well, what we're going to do with the space is we're going to open it up to eventually be community owned, but we're getting a group together to make that happen. And we want to preserve it under a different name, under a different flag, and promote art. So we need people to come out and buy art and to support artists.
If you're a business owner, you can come and sponsor and let us dress up your event with some live art. And if you're an individual, come down, see us, start a dialogue, get to know us, and see where we can go from there.
All right, thank you guys. Bottom line, support your local artists. That's it for this episode of What's Happening in Toledo. We'll see you next time.
Hi there. You might wonder what a famous Hollywood celebrity like me is doing reading in the dark. Is this some new sort of Hollywood method acting? No, this is quite real. Did you know that Americans use about 4 times as much energy per year as the global average? We waste energy left and right, despite the fact that the dirty fossil fuels we use to power our energy sources wreak havoc on the natural world and destroys valuable wildlife habitats. By reading with my solar-powered night vision goggles, I'm saving energy and looking sleek.
You don't have to sit in the dark like Ed Begley Jr. to save the world. Fight climate change by speaking up for cleaner, smarter energy, including rooftop solar.
Oh, that's way better. Oh.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org. You recycle, right?
Yep, it's confusing. It's hard for all of us to recycle properly when it's this confusing. Yet recycling is the #1 thing we can do for the environment and the economy. If we do it properly, we have a solution. And it's working.
The standardized labels help people recycle more, and they help people recycle right. Let's recycle across America, and let's recycle right.
To be part of the standardized label solution, visit letsrecycleright.org.
It's this simple. Clean drinking water comes from forests, and our forests are being devastated. Those trees must be replanted so your glass can be refilled. Visit arborday.org. See how you can help.